Sometimes real superheroes live in the hearts of small children, fighting very big battles, like cancer. This is said by Lisa Poles. The article, A Promising Step in Tackling Childhood Cancer, by the New York Times, does a very good job of using pathos to appeal to the reader's visual and emotional senses, but the evidence they use is not enough to prove their point. The sources are very limited, and the statistics they have aren't backed up by any credible sources whatsoever. I will be discussing how the article has a lack of example cases, the inefficient statistics and lack of sources, and also, third, how the article contradicts itself. So my first example is the lack of examples that the article actually has. So the New York Times article argues that Alessandro Mirora Hernandez, Gabo for short is what they call him, that his story is a story of many, yet he is only one example that's shown in the article. They say that there's many, but there's only one that's shown, and it's his. So they use his story to show the reader how lucky he was to be able to get the treatment compared to other children who lost their lives because their country didn't have it or know how to diagnose cancer. But the example of Gabo's case brings attention to how young boys are put in a situation to where if they're diagnosed properly or their country doesn't have the right medication for them, they could die in a matter of months or maybe less. See, this appeals to the reader's pathos, their emotional aspects, but there are no other examples, like I stated earlier, of other children to show that this actually happens frequently and this is actually something that people need to be paying attention to, or that this is a reoccurring issue. See, when the article talks about the other boys Gabo's age wouldn't be so lucky, and Gabo was lucky enough to make it, the article provides zero examples, nothing, of other boys who didn't make it. It's just him. It's like it's the only one that they can find because it doesn't happen reoccurringly enough. So that's why I picked this as one of the examples. So according to the website Vanguard that I found, it's a scholarly website, I found it on UNT. So a passage written by Chioma Benina provides a very specific example of a boy from Nigeria who did die of cancer because his country, he was only 13, his country didn't have the resources to take care of him. They didn't have the medicine for him. This is the kind of examples that the New York Times should be using, because I found this very easily, and they provide one example. See, the examples that they provide, they need to provide more, is what I'm trying to say. So this article would be a lot stronger if it provided more examples to support its claim. So the second thing I'm going to talk about is the inefficient statistics and the lack of sources. So the New York Times argues that, this is a quote from them, in rich countries, 80% of children with diseases like ALL survive. In many poor countries, 80% die. No statistic, no credible sources to back it up at all. The statistics aren't found. When you Google search it, it says that it's wrong. Like the statistic is wrong. So that is definitely not credible. So according to the World Health Organization, they convened a meeting with the United Nations General Assembly to discuss the issue about kids not getting enough help in their countries. This is the only source that they use, the only credible source that they have in the entire paper, or in the entire article. That's it, just one credible source. You can't write a credible paper with just one source. So, another quote that they say, the survival rate for childhood cancer there has increased dramatically from 5% in 1993 to 48% today. Then has no source to back that up. No source whatsoever. It comes out of nowhere. So this article would be a lot more efficient if it used credible sources and provided accurate support for each claim that they make. So the third thing I'm going to talk about is how the article contradicts itself. So the claim of the article is initially a child's chance of survival shouldn't hinge on where he or she is born. So the article states by the time Gabo got sick in 2014, the doctors in San Salvador knew how to diagnose ALL, and pediatric oncologists were available to treat it. He received specialized care, just like in high-income countries, and he went into remission, and he survived. This example literally completely contradicts the claim of the article, which states that Gabo shouldn't have got the treatment, and that this is a reoccurring issue that we need to pay attention of. But yet they provide an example of someone who made it. So, as a conclusion, as we have seen, the article has statistics not supported by credible sources and a lack of examples and it contradicts its claim. So I agree with what the article is trying to accomplish, but it would be a lot better if it had more credible sources and supported statistics and well-known credible sources and added examples. Now, sometimes real superheroes do live in the hearts of small children fighting big battles like cancer. Thank you.